Hey, I'm Tommy Colletti. I'm here at the Music Zoo today with Tosin Abasi. Happy to have you here. I wanted to talk to you. I have so many questions for you, I don't even know where to start. So I'll start with the obligatory influences and stuff like that. Now, and before you even lay it all out on me, from my generation, like when I watch you and listen to you play, I get certain things, and I'd be curious to know if those guys you either listened to or didn't listen to, like, as soon as I heard you play, I was like, wow, I think he listens to Holdsworth a little bit. I don't know if that's right or wrong.
It's true, it's true.
I got a little bit of Stanley Jordan, which I thought was awesome. Maybe some Morse. But obviously, you're you. I've never heard anybody play like you.
But no one grew up in a vacuum. We're all a result of our influences.
Absolutely. But where did it start? How did you get into guitar?
You're pretty much spot on with my, as far as it, like, you know, advanced technique stuff. It all came from guys who were doing that stuff. Probably right around, we probably listened to a lot of the same guys, like late 80s, early 90s hair metal shredder dudes. And I basically taught myself by getting a lot of their REH and Hot Licks videos. And I'd just, like, you know, I'd get Paul Gilbert's video, I'd learn the licks, and then I'd get, you know, Frank and Bali's video, I'd get Petrucci's video. So, like, it was weird. I wasn't even necessarily listening to their bands, but, like, I was learning how to play through the instructional stuff that they put out. So that's how I developed, like, a majority of my technique.
Okay, interesting. So it wasn't necessarily. It's funny. So sometimes I talk to guitar players, and just like what you said, they're not into Rainbow. They're into Richie Blackmore. They're not into Ozzy. They're into Randy Rhoads. You know, it's just like you get these influences and stuff. So you were pulling that from those guys immediately. And I found about Holdsworth through Van Halen. I think it was a Guitar Player article, and he mentioned this guy, Alan Holdsworth. And I had heard it through UK and stuff like that, but didn't even realize it. And then you get turned on to this whole other pool of musicians and stuff.
Holdsworth is definitely one of the more stimulating guitar players, just because he has such a unique voice, and he makes the instrument sound, like, so unique, you know, based on his touch and his phrasing. So I don't know how much I, like, actually sound like him. And I've talked to other guitar players like this. He's one of those influences where it's like you love the guy, but it's like you almost can't. Anything you do in his direction will sound like him instantly. So it's like a hard thing to incorporate some of the times. But yeah, he's definitely a huge influence, and I don't know. Greg Howe was a big influence as well. As far as bands versus the guys who play in their bands, Petrucci was definitely a guy who I liked his playing, and then I actually liked Dream Theater too.
Long Island band.
Yeah, local boy, huh?
Yeah.
Well, close enough. So yeah, it was cool to get into prog through his band and to focus on his individual playing too. So.
And which brings me now to the 8-string thing. Interval-wise, you talk about somebody, let's say like a Holdsworth, who experimented with different voicings, intervals. Now you bring the 8-string guitar into the mix. What's the strings on it? How's it working? What's the tuning?
Essentially in standard tuning, right? So the first 6 strings are in standard, and then actually the B string is in standard too. Like if you got a 7-string, there'd be a B on it. The only difference is I take this 8th string from F sharp, I drop it down to E. So that gives me 3 E strings. And what happens is I can bar like this, and I actually get a functional 1-5-1 chord. And so if I'm playing like a 6-string rooted chord, all I got to do is complete the bar through the whole neck, and I have, you know, I'm rooted, you know, an octave below the actual 6th string. So it's pretty logical, I think.
Wow. Now, so your band, no bass player, but then I watch you play, and I go, he is a bass player. So you're creating both voices simultaneously. Yeah, but we still, there is a bass. The way we recorded it was kind of weird. We didn't use a bass guitar, but the producer I worked with, Misha Mansour, he had a kind of a recording technique where I guess he didn't have a bass, so he would take his guitar and play the riffs single note, clean, and then he'd pitch it down an octave. And it would sound like this. It sounds, you hear it on its own, it kind of sounds like crap, but it's a lot of sub-harmonic frequencies, but in the mix, he's got it where it sits really beautifully, and it sounds really big. So that's what we do. That's almost like a bass 6 thing. We had Mike Eldred here from the Fender Custom Shop a few months ago, and he was telling us about the bass 6, which is now starting to get popular again. And basically that was used, and even like everything from Beatles records all over the place, and it was just there to add percussion or add a little bit right in the middle between a bass and between a guitar. And as soon as you listen to the mix, even back then, like 60s, they still heard like the difference in everything, like just get wider and thicker and stuff. And you don't hear it as a listener. You're just like, oh, it's a Rickenbacker, but there's a lot more going on.
That's cool. Yeah, I should get one of those.
They're actually cool. All right, so you started with that, but before the videos, the guitar videos and stuff like that, what started you playing guitar? What got you like, I want to play guitar?
I had a friend I used to like skateboard with or whatever, and he had like a Jackson, and he was really into Metallica and all this stuff, and so like just through going over his house I would see the guitar, and I had him, I mean I guess it piqued my interest just because he had one, and I was playing clarinet in the school band or whatever, so like guitar wasn't my first dive into music, but seeing his guitar looked a lot cooler than a clarinet obviously, so like I asked my dad if he would get me one, and he got me like this cheap Fender Strat knockoff, and I didn't even know how to tune the thing, and the action was like 2 inches off the fretboard, and like, but anyway, I would take it over to my friend Steve's house, and he would show me like little riffs here and there, and I'd take him home and practice them, and then like pretty soon I could play better than him, honestly. But early days was like Nirvana and Green Day and like Soundgarden. Actually, Soundgarden was a bit above my head. I can mess with all the alternate tunings and stuff like that. But it was just like during the alternative rock, you know, heydays, Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam. Yeah. So that's all the stuff I was playing until I heard like Yngwie Malmsteen, and I was just like, oh my god, I didn't even know you could do that on a guitar. So that started the obsessive 6-hour practice sessions and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's amazing. Yeah. Most guitar players that you talk to that get to a level, and then you hear somebody like that, and you're just like, oh my god, I gotta start over again. I remember that hearing Eruption for the first time, and before that, you know, like my era was late 70s, early 80s and stuff, and before I got turned on to the Van Halen stuff and everything like that, you were hearing Clapton's, you know, like Lay Down Sally on the radio, and there was you know, Stairway to Heaven and stuff like that. That was probably the heaviest guitar stuff that you heard on like conventional radio, and then all of a sudden you hear Eruption, you're like, oh man, I thought I was okay, you know, like I have to start all over again. And then Yngwie did that to everybody again, like late 80s, because all those guys that were playing Randy Rhoads stuff and got to the Randy Rhoads, Eddie Van Halen thing, and we're like, okay, I know how this works or whatever. And then Yngwie came out, I was like, damn, you know. And it's happening again with guys like you. So kudos to you, like you know, like we were watching you play in the store, and it was just like, where's the other 3 dudes, you know, like. So man, you're on it.
Right on, dude. Thanks.
Well, I appreciate you being here. I know everybody's downstairs is psyched to have you do the clinic. Continue success, man.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man.